of 2017. I was brand new. I actually went to Highline to do Ready Start, got my AA. I took a gap year after I graduated, and then I was like, I have no idea what to do with my life. No, not really sure what I want to do. And so in like mid-July, I was like, you know what, I'll just apply to UW-Tacoma just to see what happens. And then I got in, and I was like, crap, now I have to go back to school. And so that was kind of how that went for me. I wasn't like really motivated. I'm not one of those really driven people who's like known their whole life exactly what they want to do. And so, yeah, I was like buying books really last minute, and I had this really bad class schedule because I registered late. And so, thankfully, I knew this guy. He's one of my best friends. His name's Max, and he had gone to UW the year before me. And so I was like, bro, we're going to school together. What's it like? Let's hang out all the time. He's like, yeah, for sure. He's like, I haven't met a single Christian on campus. And I was like, really? Like, not a single one. I was like, have you met anyone on campus? He's like, yeah, like, I've really been trying. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I showed up to school my first day, and I was in like stats or something like that. And we had a break, so I went to get some water, and I looked up, and there was this poster, and it said Campus Adult Ministry. And I was like, this guy was lying to me. You know, there is Christians on campus. He was just not looking hard enough. And so I texted him, and I was like, dude, why did you lie to me? And he was like, I've never heard about this. Let's go and check it out. And so I went, and I met this guy named Eric. He tried to talk to me, and I was like, bro, I don't want to talk to you. He was like, I'm just like, it's so good to meet you. I was like, dude, I don't know you. Anyways, I really enjoyed going to camp that first quarter because, you know, that was like my real like connection. Like I knew some people here, but because my class schedule was so bad, like I never got to see them, so like it didn't really count. And then kind of just by chance, I was working at Starbucks at that time, and then I got a job at a restaurant, and the restaurant wanted me to work like Thursday through Sunday nights. And so I said, yeah, I need the money, and then I was like, crap, I can't go to camp. So anyways, that's my long story of why I haven't been at camp. But I think kind of out of that is just this idea that like you do need community. Like for students, especially, like life is always changing. Like every quarter, your entire schedule is different. And so part of it is just to make it a priority so that you can get that community however you can. So if it's at camp, great. If it's at church, it's great. If you can just meet for Bible study at lunch, like that's what we started doing just because we weren't around on campus this late. And so we would just take a lunch, screw the homework, we got finals, everyone's got it doesn't matter, we're just going to take some time to get into the Word. And so that's kind of actually what we were doing ever since then. And then this quarter, we were meeting for Bible study, and we came up to like the room, and we were like, look, this is the room for Bible study, someone made a sign, like we're so official. And then we walked in, and we're like, this is not our Bible study, this is the camp Bible study. And so I actually didn't know that you guys had a lunch hour one, but that was super awesome, and we've been hanging out with them ever since. I invite y'all to come, shameless plug, we're going through Peter, really cool stuff. It's just like an hour long, and we all have that same break, so I know it's crunch time for homework, but come through. Anyways, I'm probably closer to Matthew as far as preparation. I don't have a polished PowerPoint or anything like that, but I think that one thing that I've really been feeling as a student, especially in this time of life, is that I have no idea what's going on and why I'm going to school and what's going to happen next. And so you kind of all like someone meets you, right? So you're like, hi, like, what's your name? Like, hi, I'm Corey. It's like, oh, cool, like, do you go to school? I'm like, yeah, how did you know? I go to school, you have to come. We're like, oh, cool, like, what are you studying? When do you graduate? Like, all these things, like, they expect you to have your whole life mapped out. It's kind of nerve-wracking. But I think that a lot of us kind of have this mentality that as we're at school, we're just like waiting until the next phase. You guys know what I mean? Like, we just have to get through this part so then like real life can start. Have you ever thought that? Yeah, maybe. Like, I just gotta get this class done, then I can like get the credits in the bank, and then I'm like one class closer to getting out of this place. You know, that kind of mindset, mentality, and I think it's more prevalent with like the community campus because like, I don't know, you just come in here and you get your class and you go out, you know. But I guess this idea that's kind of been, I've been working through is that God has me exactly where He wants me to be. Exactly. Not like 2 years from now I'll be where God wants me to be, or like not in the past when I was much closer to God, that's where He wants me. He wants me to be exactly right here. And so this kind of idea, I think it kind of sinks in because you're thinking a lot about the future, what comes next. You know, I just want to get through this, and then like real life will start. And so I was kind of trying to work through this idea, and I came across this verse, and it doesn't perfectly mesh, but I'll just read it for you, and then I'll try to kind of like save it because it doesn't perfectly apply. That's okay. I'm in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 13. You feel free to read along, but he says, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go to such and such a city and spend a year there and engage in business and make a great profit." I'm a business student. This is a cool message. 14, "Yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and also do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin." So, I always thought this passage was weird. I didn't understand. Like, what's the big deal if I say, like, next weekend we're gonna go and watch a movie? Like, so what? Like, we're just making plans. That's a totally normal life thing to do, right? Yes? Agree? Cool. We got there. So is it a bad thing to be like, yeah, I'm gonna graduate and then I want to go get this job and then like I have these things that I want to do? Is that bad? Is this verse saying like, don't plan anything out? Just take it day by day and then whatever happens, happens. And so I think that I've been kind of struggling with this idea that I shouldn't plan, but I should plan. And if I don't plan, everyone has all these weird questions for me, and I don't know what to say. And then there's kind of this realization. He talks about the brevity of life. He says your life is just a vapor. Another passage will say it's like a flower that blooms one day and dies the next, or it's like grass just kind of thrown into the wind, like you're just here for a little bit. And then he goes on to say, you should change your perspective and say, if God allows me to live, then I'm going to do this. And so I was like, well, that's kind of like a given. Like, whatever I do, God allows because I did it, kind of, I think. But that's not exactly how it works. And then he goes on to say, you boast in your arrogance, and all such boasting is evil. And then he does this weird thing at the end. He says, therefore, the one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin. And so, I don't know, I've just been kind of wrestling with this throughout my time at school, is that I just want to be done. I'd like to say that like I figured it out, but it's worse than ever right now. Like I would very much like to be done. I'm just a couple of weeks away, but I think that the encouragement that we can find is that when we know that we're exactly where God wants us to be, then it doesn't really matter what kind of plans we have. If that makes sense to you, like the plans that we have are great, but we'll see what God says about it. Like it's not bad to make plans, but I guess if you hold too closely to them, and then God has different plans for you, then how are you going to reconcile that? How are you going to live with that change? And so I guess this verse and this passage has just been big to me, thinking about the idea of what is God's will for my life. And so I think that if we're thinking more at a practical level, I guess as far as giving advice, I would say if you make all these plans, that's great, but how is God fitting into it? If you're going to make plans to hang out with your friends on the weekend or whatever, how is that playing into the bigger picture of what God's doing in your life? And I think that in a really easy way as a student, it can be like, how are you planning your schedule? Are you planning it around things that really matter? Are you too focused on school? Or are you not focused enough on school? Sorry, that was weird. But there's a balance there. Is that are you honoring God through the way that you're choosing to do your assignments and the way that you conduct yourself, like in a group, or are you focusing so much on school that you're using it as an excuse not to hang out with your friends and not to read your Bible, or it's getting in the way of your relationship with God? So that balance is kind of like a hard line to draw. But I think that that's kind of one of those things that as you go about, you can kind of, it's like, whoa, I'm a little too far on this side. Like, I think I need to shift over here. Like, whoa, I think I'm a little too far on this side. And a lot of it is just kind of discernment and figuring these things out as you go. But yeah, I think that when you can kind of understand that like God has things for you to do right now, then it changes the way you think about school, and it changes the way you think about friends. And I think that sometimes the urgency of sharing the gospel is really low. You think that like, oh, like I know that my friends like don't go to church and stuff like that, but like they'll figure it out. Or like I know some people who like definitely don't know about Jesus, but like I know that other people will probably tell them about it. And I think I've just been thinking a lot more this last quarter is like, God has put me in the exact classes with the exact friends, like sitting at the exact desk because he wants me there, because there's people for me to minister to there. And so I guess I would just say, if we lose focus on these things, then when we die tomorrow, like it says, like your life is a vapor. If you die tomorrow, then you're going to have a lot of regret. But if you realize that your life is not in your hands, there's nothing that you can do to prolong your life, but you can trust God and be obedient to him, what he has for you right here, right now, then as you're planning the future, it's easier to trust him with that. And so those are just some thoughts that I had. I don't really have like a whole lot of wisdom. I'm just kind of like figuring things out as I go. I would say, as far as advice, practical advice, don't buy your books until like the first week of school is over. If you want to park and not walk, I park over by the melting pot, and then I go to Anthem like every morning. That's my life hack. There's a lot of books online, PDFs that you can download. Quizlet is your friend. You can share a check account. That's all I got. Thank you guys for listening. Woo!